Check 1 2. 1 2 1 2.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, welcome. The words for Hashivenu can be found on page 358 in your prayer book. 358. חדש, 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 ימינו כקדם. חדש, חדש, ימינו כקדם. חדש, 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 ימינו כקדם. חדש, חדש, ימינו כקדם. השירני ואשובה, השירני ואשובה, חדש, 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 ימינו כקדם. חדש, חדש, ימינו כקדם. חדש, חדש, ימינו
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And welcome to all of you here in our chapel tonight, and welcome to all of you who are in the chapel in your home or wherever you find yourself. We're glad that you're able to be with us in whichever form you find yourselves. I'm Robert Davis. I'm one of the rabbis here at the temple, along with Cantor Parat, as well as Rabbi Pomerantz, Rabbi Leuben, Vanessa and Vanessa are going to be leading us in singing. Alan Caves, thank you. Miguel and Paul, Craig, and welcome to everyone here. Shabbat has arrived. Thank God. We need a breath. We need this pause from work, from school, new beginnings, stress, aggravation. We need to pause from judgmentalism, the pressure of accomplishment. We are just supposed to take a pause from all of that. As one of my teachers said, just hit the pause button. Try it. Shabbat simply asks us to breathe and luxuriate in the blessings of life and living, and for this brief day to see ourselves and embrace the entirety of our being as children of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars, and we all have a right to be here. Let us welcome Shabbat. I invite Charles and Deborah Citron to lead us in the kindling of Shabbat candles and in Kiddush, and I'll ask us all to turn to page 2.
As the Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Amen.
We continue with Kiddush, page 4.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen heavens and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
L'chaim. And as Charles and Deborah are having a l'chaim, I'll ask us to turn to page 9 in our prayer book. Let's read together. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We continue with Lecha Dodi, page 20, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, ידי בני שבת וקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, ידי בני שבת וקבלה. שמעו וזכור בדיבורך, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושם ולתפארת ונתהילה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם משוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך יגלה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך, לך דודי, לקראת קהלה, פני שבת מקבלה, לך, לך דודי, לקראת קהלה, בני שבת מקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת קהלה, בני שבת מקבלה, לך, לך דודי, לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Page 24, you can be seated. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malchei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. רוחם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. רוחם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. איי איי איי, רוחם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. איי איי, ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. איי איי איי, צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
That's how we all feel. Yay, it's Shabbat. Yay. And with that, page 28, we rise for the call to worship, Baruch Hu.
Am I
Page 30.
Please be seated. Oreyo balayla, oreyo balayla, olelo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. See if you can do it with me. Oreyo balayla, oreyo balayla, olelo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Baruch atah Adonai, speak the evening into being. As you turn the seasons round, let the stars keep watch above us. For the day and night are yours. Crossing over into darkness. Drawing lines within the lines. Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, God living and enduring. Didim Loch Aleinu, forever and beyond. Orei Yom Halayla, Orei Yom Halayla, Olelo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Orei Yom Halayla, Orei Yom Halayla, Olelo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamarir Ha'aravim.
Page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
ועבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Ve'ahavta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
In a moment, we'll pray the words of Micha Mocha, page 40. This is a prayer of celebration, celebrating that we made it across the uncrossable sea, celebrating that Pharaoh didn't drag us back to slavery, celebrating the possibility of a life of freedom. A remarkable prayer. And yet added to the power of this prayer is the simple recognition that our ancestors, with this prayer, for the first time in their lives, were able to proclaim together and out loud their joy. And it was both, having something about which to be joyful, freedom, and being able to be together and celebrate as a community. Let us not take that for granted. Let us rejoice that we are together and that we can give voice both to being together and that we have much to celebrate. Micha Mocha.
Yai la 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 מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. La
Page 42, give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us unto shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. Ashkivenu. Continue now with the central part of our prayer service, HaTefillah. It begins on page 46, and then the even number pages. Adonai, open up my lips, and my mouth may declare your praise.
ופי יגיד תהילתך. אדוני שפתי תפתח, אדוני שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך, ופי יגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, נאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue with our prayers silently, the prayers in the prayer book or the prayers of our own hearts. Page 358.
אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש, אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש, שירתי שירתי
Shabbat Shalom. A few years ago, my good friend and colleague, Adam Trautenberg, called me to tell me that Amazon left a mysterious package at his front door of his apartment. The package delivered to his residence randomly had no address on it whatsoever. While we were talking about the possibilities of what to do, I remembered a strangely similar hypothetical situation with the ox in this week's Torah portion. Yes, that is how my mind works, and luckily, Adam, as a Jewish professional, was happy to go down the rabbi rabbit hole with me to figure out what to do with this lost object, which was, by the way, a gaming chair. Apparently, people who love computer and video games have a specially designed chair. Not a small box, we're talking large ox here. So we looked to the text to guide us. Parshat Ki Tetzei states, "If you see your fellow Israelites' ox or sheep gone astray, do not ignore it. You must take it back to your peer. If your fellow Israelite does not live near you, or you do not know who the owner is, you shall bring it home, and it shall remain with you until your peer claims it. Then you shall give it back. You shall do the same with that person's donkey. You shall do the same with that person's garment. And so too shall you do with anything that your fellow Israelite loses, and you find. You must not remain indifferent." The Torah has pretty specific instructions about the case of the missing ox, or donkey, or garment, and there's an entire section of the Talmud that indulges in much more detail about the category of lost objects. It's pretty amazing that our people have been wondering about what to do with a turned-up ox or box for millennia. It's also amazing that among the 74 mitzvot, commandment, listed in this week's Torah portion, highlighting some of our most core values describing how to treat each other, is the commandment speaking with what to do when you find something that isn't yours. Like much of the Torah, we find laws that might seem random or common sense, but to the ancient Israelites, they might have been countercultural. In the ancient world, we can imagine that common practice was to find something and immediately claim ownership. And now, when the Israelites are learning how to set up their society and how to act when they begin to build their communities, this commandment not only tells us what to do with a lost item that someone stumbles upon, but teaches us how to live in relationship with our friends, our neighbors, and complete strangers. To keep things simple and speedy, we decided to handle the situation according to Torah law instead of diving into the Talmudic debates. So, the chair we called the ox. What do we do with this ox? Step 1, do not ignore it. Adam could have left it outside until he eventually moved, though that would have been annoying. The box was huge and it would have gotten in the way somehow. He could have moved it somewhere else in front of someone else's door, or in front of just the entrance to the building to leave it for no one to deal with. But the first thing the Torah says is do not ignore it. So we didn't. Step 2, take it back to your peer. The problem was, Adam did not know who was supposed to go to. I suppose in Torah times in a village or even in a shtetl much later, one had a better chance of knowing whose ox it was, or at least they would know who to ask. In this case, he tried to call Amazon to acquire for more information. And even they had no idea. So that leads us, and they also refused to pick it up. So that leads us to step 3. If your fellow Israelite does not live near you, or you do not know who the owner is, you shall bring it home, and it shall remain with you until your peer claims it. Then you shall give it back. In this case, we don't know who owned the ox, so he was supposed to bring it home and take care of it until the owner returns, or indefinitely. So he did. He brought it inside, and he waited the appropriate amount of time, 3 days. And indefinitely wasn't going to work, as Adam has had no use or space for this ox. It was a rather large ox, or box containing a gaming chair, as they usually are. So he brought it to the temple, as it's supposed to be exceedingly comfortable, in fact, and everyone can rest assured that our dear Lois has been enjoying this chair for years and has been taking good care of it until the owner comes to claim it. If it is yours, you now know who to call. Now that we have solved the situation with the ox, we have yet to address the last part of the section, which commands, do not be indifferent. While we did by default heed this mitzvah, as we very much actively did something about it, it is almost repetitive, as the first part says, do not ignore it. However, the fact that we're commanded not to be indifferent makes it so it's not a choice that we get to make, whether or not to deal with something that may or may not feel like it's our issue. We are commanded to do something about it. This is a beautiful lesson in living as a caring community. As we welcome each other back into this spiritual home here at Temple Beth Shalom, it's only fitting that we come back together with intention, remembering that we have generations-old common values and beliefs as to how to treat one another and how to live in a community infused with holiness. And even more so, as we are in the midst of Elul and thinking about the ways we might have missed the mark in our deeds, it's harder to imagine all of those things we didn't do, the times in our lives we saw an ox and passed it by or pushed it away. We are meant to be on the lookout for each other, as we would hope others would do for us as well. When we have the potential to help our friend or our neighbor or the stranger, we can make an effort. We can call Amazon and try to get a hold of the very sad gamer missing the chair. In this season of thoughtfulness, I hope that we can all take that additional step. Make a little extra effort not to remain indifferent. Let us make that an aspiration for the year ahead. Let us act when we see something, even if it does not directly affect us. If everyone took that initiative, even sometimes, I just know it would make a difference. And I believe that as a synagogue, we're all up for this challenge and ready to set this standard. Let us strive to be a community where our actions reflect our deep commitment to each other. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. Who's got that chair? Lois has the chair. Okay, got it. That commitment to each other extends not only to returning lost objects, but also caring for each other. So we're going to pray a Misha Berak, a prayer of healing for those of you who are here or at home, or perhaps those recovering from illness or in the hospital, a prayer of healing for renewal of body and renewal of spirit. If there's someone that you would like to have their name added to our prayer, I ask you to please mention those names out loud so that everyone in the congregation can pray for the people that you are praying for. Thank you. Thank you. Billis. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Thank you. Alice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Page 253.
Let's repeat after me. מי שבירך אבותינו מקור החיים לאמותינו הוא יברך וירפא את החולים, את החולים. Together, אלנה רפאה נעלה Shabbat Shalom.
So this was a big week for many of our students who went back to school, as well as next week. For some of you will be going back to school next week, and some of you will even be going to college next week. So for the Aleinu, I'm going to invite all of our students who have just gone back to school or are going back to school of all ages to please come up and open the ark as we all rise and turn to page 282 for the Aleinu. All ages. Come on, Noah Cohen. I know you're going to college. Come on, Shemanskis. I know you're going to school. Thank you. Thank you. Eli. Open the ark.
עלינו לשבח לעבוד הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצאנו בראשית, שבו עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שבו שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו חבים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד דרך צלחה may be a good start of your school journey.
You may be seated. And for those of you who didn't come up, you missed out on a chocolate kissy. We're going to take a moment to think about all of our loved ones who are no longer physically with us but remain in our hearts eternally as we turn to page 289. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. Together, in light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of life and light. We turn now to page 294. And we think at this moment of those loved ones who have died in the last 30 days and whose families remain in the shloshim of their mourning. We remember Joseph Samek, Daniel Jules Jacobs, Sonia Rabin Greenfield, Samuel Berkowitz, and Cynthia Goodman. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. And we think as well of all those whose yard sites are observed on this Shabbat and whose names have lovingly been inscribed in our alcove of remembrance. We remember Robert Bass, Mary Blaustein, Jerry Brooks, Lisa Druckman, Florence Stein Hecht, Irving Kaplan, Molly Kennan, Dora Kugel, Herman Lundy, Bess Smarter, Samuel Meiselman, Norman Miller, Abraham Jacob Molaski, Charles Nannis, Edward Rice, Janet Richard, A. Douglas Rosenbaum, Sam Root, Mortimer Schaefer, and Ellen Shaw. And we think of all those others whose yard sites are observed on this Shabbat. Audrey Bernstein, Marlene Chaitman, Francine Gabrieloff, Harry Goldstein, Anna Goodman, Miriam Graboy, Judith Greenfield, Adam Jackson, Jean Karp, Abraham Karp, Alan Kreef, Edith Libin, Norman Marcus, Edna Orphis Obeck, Mauricio Rizikow, Annie Rosendorn, Stephen Ross, Anna Schechter, Adolf Schwartz, Abraham Sheffman, Morris Sidman, Mildred Simon, Janet Swedrow, and Hazel Simons. And if there's anyone among us this evening who's in a period of mourning or observing a yahrzeit whose name I did not recite, I invite you to stand up and share that name with our congregation. And please remain standing for the Kaddish. Anybody? Then I'll invite all of us to please rise. Once again, we're on page 294. We think of the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, the over 24,000 Israeli soldiers who have died so that we would have a Jewish homeland. And we think of our American soldiers who have died defending and protecting our liberties. We take them all into our hearts with our own as we recite these words of Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlik malchuteh, b'chayachon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kari v'yamru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael, v'yimru Amen. May the author of peace send peace to all who mourn here and everywhere and give us God's blessing of peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. Everyone except for Vanessa Ressler, who's working overtime tonight, our temple president, who is also an amazing singer, and here to greet you all.
Thanks, Rabbi. You're welcome.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back, everyone. To those of you who've been away, I know a lot of our familiar faces have been here all summer, but this is pretty awesome. We have a lot to catch up on later at the barbecue. So thanks to Mark, as always, and team for putting together a special evening for us tonight. And thank you, rabbis and Cantor, Alan, Miguel, Paul, Vanessa, for the beautiful service. Couple quick things and we're out of here. Well, almost. Tomorrow, Torah study begins at 9:30, as always, followed by Shabbat at 10:30. Tat Shabbat, which I personally really miss because my kids are too big, is at 10 o'clock. And tomorrow, the Shalom Rockers Children's Choir starts getting ready for the High Holy Days. Do we have any rockers in the house? I know we do. We got a new rocker joining tomorrow. So if anyone wants their child or grandchild to join us, please talk to me tonight because we do start tomorrow. And at 12:30, one of the amazing adult ed offerings that the clergy is putting together for us this year called Getting Prepared for Elul, Teshuvah, Getting Back to You with Rabbi Loibin is happening. And that's in person, Rabbi? That's right after services and lunch in person. Okay, great. And then Monday at 5 o'clock, Getting Prepared for Elul, Teshuvah and Our Inner Thoughts with our newest rabbi, Rabbi Jessica Jacobs. As always, check out the website for all the Elul and other opportunities and classes that we offer via Zoom and in person. And lastly, thank you. Thank you for choosing to be here on your Shabbat. I also see a few fellow board members. Can you just raise your hand, past presidents and board members? And Jeff counts. Jeff's outside. Okay, great. So tonight as we schmooze and welcome each other back, these are great folks to talk to and connect with as well, ask questions and get to know. So thanks again. Shabbat Shalom.
So, thank you. Mr. Brannick has told us dinner's in the social hall, and whether you made a reservation or not, you're invited. but let that be a lesson. Make reservations every time. And we're going to sing O Say Shalom, page 266. Let's all stand and let's sing together joyously.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.